Today marks the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Worldwide, gender-related killings of women and girls occur every 5 hours, a devastating statistic highlighting the need to continue advocating for change. Since the Me Too movement sparked a global mobilization, there's been unprecedented awareness and momentum to try and eliminate the violence, but unfortunately, there's still a lot of work to do. We're joined by Manager of Consent Comes First, Farah Khan, to talk more about this. Farah, during the pandemic, there was an escalation of violence against women and girls seen worldwide. Governments talk a lot about how it can be addressed, but what should they really be doing?
During the pandemic, we did see an escalation of violence in the home. One of the most heartbreaking things was reading research where women and girls talked about how fearful they were because of lockdowns. And we saw that. We saw an 84% increase alone in Ontario of women and girls killed last year in 2021. This year, 52 women and girls were killed by men in their lives in Ontario. There are 52 weeks of the year, 52 women and girls, the youngest being 8 years old and the oldest being 88 years old. Governments have an opportunity right now to create substantive change on addressing gender-based violence. This includes moving forward on the National Action Plan on Gender-Based Violence, the NAP, that the federal government announced in collaboration with provincial and territorial governments. That has to move forward in a way that actually listens to the voices of the people doing the work in the field of gender-based violence, listening to survivors, addressing it from an intersectional framework. One of the most important things that governments can do, especially provincial and territorial governments, is sustainably fund the services that are doing this work. Fund rape crisis centers so that they don't have to scrape together funding. Fund shelters so they don't have to scrape together funding. Fund the services so that we can actually prevent this harm.
And what are things we can do in our everyday lives to help women experiencing gender-based violence?
If you know a woman or girl that's being subjected to gender-based violence in your life, I would say check in with them. Make sure that they know they're not alone and they're here to support them. I created a model called Brave when I was 18. And the model was to look at how we can support people when they tell us they've been harmed. The first thing you can do is begin by listening. Don't judge, don't ask for more details, don't pry, just listen. The second thing I want you to do is respect their confidentiality. You don't get to decide who or when they tell other people. You have to respect their right to privacy. And also when they're ready, they'll be ready because you supported them. The third thing you can do is ask what support looks like to them. All of us have visions of what justice is, but justice looks differently for everyone. It can look like talking to the police. It can look like going to therapy. It can look like talking to a lawyer. Do what's best for you and support a survivor to do that. The fourth thing you can do is validate them. Too often survivors internalize messages that tell us that we did something wrong, that we somehow brought this on ourselves. We did not. And last thing you want to do is have empathy. Empathy for ourselves, empathy for them, empathy for the world in which we live in that allows violence to fester, to flourish, and to harm.
Thank you so much for joining us, Farah.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here.